Hey, what's going on, guys? Alright. Let's get this underway. Let's see. Got some people rolling in. How's it going there on Twitch? Dabafet said, finally I get to watch a live stream. That's good. Glad you can finally catch a live stream. Yes, Kirk, this would be a Sakura Wars kit. The first that I've built, and there's really only a few that Bandai's put out so far. Inked Gunpla, what's going on? Jin Jin. And on YouTube, let's see, Tenko, Matthew, Brian, Dwayne, Revan, Elfan de Gunpla. Bruh boy, how's it going, everybody? That's looking a little bit bright. Let's see here. Let me turn that down a little bit for you guys. There we go. Yeah, so it's been a few days since we've done any live streaming because if you didn't see my update that I posted on just a post that I posted on my Facebook page that I was sick. I had the flu last week that I got off of my son. Thank you very much. So I'm feeling much better now, but I don't know, as you can tell, maybe I'm not like totally back to 100% quite yet. But feeling pretty good, if good enough to get this stream by. So I had this ready, and I was planning on streaming this like Thursday or Friday last week. Yeah, was not really feeling very good. And if you guys watched my review of the Tertium Gundam, the second half, the review portion of that, you could probably tell, listening to my voice, how like stuffed up I was, because my nose was just like a faucet at the time. So that was the last thing that I was able to do before I just took a couple days off from doing anything. No, it's not coronavirus. Thank you very much. It's just the flu. The normal, regular flu. Alright, so this build, we've got some interesting parts of this. We are going to use some of this wire, and we've got... It's going to be an interesting thing. And what I'm looking forward to doing is once it's all put together, seeing how this compares to a Machining Krieger kit, like side by side. I know, like, obviously there's a similar sort of look to them, but just with the overall size, what the size is going to be, I think it's also going to be very similar to a 120 scale Machining Krieger kit, just in terms of the size. So it should be pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys could hear that in the background. My family is actually at home today. Usually no one's at home when I'm doing my live streaming, but everyone's home today, so you might hear some babies shouting or something in the background. There with my wife in the other room. Mike Jones. Say hello from Shoreline, Washington. Are you the Swisha House Mike Jones? Grip and Grain. 281-330-8004. That real Mike Jones? Because I know, actually, unfortunately, Mike Jones is just a pretty popular name. So, or not popular, but just relatively common name, I should say. I have another friend named Mike Jones in high school, like when the rapper Mike Jones was really popular. My friend named Mike Jones just never got a break from hearing that from me. Jagan, thank you for the support, man. There on the YouTube Super Chats. Did you ever notice any poor fitting parts on the RG Sazabi? The rear bell-bottom armor on the legs was incredibly tight and poor fitting for me. I didn't notice that, actually. I didn't notice any fitting issues with the RG Sazabi. No. Kirk, I've got plenty of Mike Jones knowledge, trust me. I listened to a lot of Mike Jones in high school. I was a fan. It's a fun album. I certainly can appreciate some like real like hip hop and stuff, but I also have a sweet tooth for just like cheap and easy rap and stuff like Mike Jones and Lil Wayne, stuff like that. Alright, so there's our pilot figure in there straight away, and so as you guys can see here, straight off the bat, we build the interior of the cockpit first, which is pretty cool, and there's a lot of nice detail in here. Actually, it's the kind of thing like once this is all painted up, it's gonna look real nice. Do I prefer the RG New or the Sazabi? Jinjin, between the two, I'd probably prefer the RG Sazabi just because I just prefer the design more than the new. Just the new in general is just not really particularly my favorite design. Let's see. Oh, so we have these two wires. We have just the regular wire and this like mesh tube. I thought what we'd end up doing is just feeding the wire into the mesh tubing, because that's kind of like often what you'll typically will do, but it seems like not. It seems like we're actually using them separately. This wire is just going on the inside for some interior detail here, actually. That's interesting. So we need it cut in two 30mm segments and two 40mm segments. John Bias, hey, how's it going, buddy? I have that kit on pre-order with US Gundam Store. That's cool. It's a very interesting kit. Luke asked, any good MG Grunt recommendations? I don't care if it's Xeon or Fetty. Well, the first thing that comes to mind would be the MG Jagan is a great one. Alternatively, if you wanted something Xeon, MG Zaku 2.0 is also very good. 얘들아 안돼 나 일하고 있어. That was only a matter of time. It only took less than 10 minutes. My son came and asked what I'm doing. I have a feeling it, well, just because he's so young, it's probably hard for him to just imagine or just like have any sort of understanding of what work is in general. But he also, I mean, would also just probably have a pretty difficult time understanding what I'm doing in here, how it's like work or something. Anyway. Alright, so we got these wires, the 30mm wire here. So this is going to be kind of fun, stringing the wires here. This one goes from her arm here, and then back around into here. And the 40mm wire will go from the arm back to behind the chair. It's certainly easier to do this using some tweezers here, but what I'm trying not to do is trying not to squeeze the cable too hard, because I'll pinch the rubber and make like a pinch mark in the rubber there, which will also not look good on the wire coating. Let's see if I can just do this by hand. It's kind of difficult. Just too small. Anyway, it's in there well enough. This looks really cool, actually. The wire gives a really nice detail in here. It's the kind of detail that normally like we would usually just have to add like on our own, you would just have to get some wire and just add this kind of detail by yourself, but the fact that you get this kind of detail straight out of the box is like something that's included like in the box is pretty cool. So there you go. It's very interesting. Cool look for that. Really nice. 10 minutes, Travis. You say your kids would have been in within 3 minutes. Oh, they're playing pretty well. It sounds like, so they're pretty well distracted. Yeah. Yeah, very much like Machine and Krieger. So, this is another one where I'll be having the review and the unboxing all as one video. So you guys have not seen the unboxing yet, but in the unboxing video, not very much, I think just sort of mentioned the fact that for me, the thing that I'm interested to see about this kit, because honestly the design, I'm not super into the design of this, but I think what will be interesting for me is building it up and then seeing, like, getting some ideas about what I might want to do with the design to make it more appealing for me, because as it is, I don't really particularly like the design of it like it is. It's like a, oh, what did I call it? I thought of it as like a steampunk samurai Machine and Krieger design, and so I don't know, it's not quite my style. I think if it was a little bit more towards just like a standard Machine and Krieger sort of design, basically, I'd be a little bit more into it. So I think that's probably what I'll do with it. That'll be the thing that'll be kind of more interesting for me, is taking this and seeing how I can sort of make it a little bit more like traditional Machine and Krieger looking. And so it'll probably just be like getting rid of some details, changing some details, things like that. What kit do you recommend for my friend? She just started building Gundam models. She's aren't allowed to build Gundam models. I'm just kidding. I would say I would take her to a store if you have a store somewhere where you can go, and just show her some kits and just kind of give some general recommendations to her. I mean, and just let her pick out whatever she thinks looks cool to her, you know. What I always like to say is just to go for whatever looks cool for you, because even if it's a kit that maybe didn't get very good reviews, if it's a design that you really like, then you can always make it work. There's no like truly awful, unworkable kits. So like, even if it was, say you really like the design of the Tristan Gundam, so you ended up getting the HG Tristan before seeing any reviews of the kit or whatever, or before getting any advice from people you trust, say for example, that would have probably told you that the kit is not good and that you shouldn't buy it. But it's too late, you already bought it and you like the design, so what are you gonna do? Well, at that point you don't really have much choice but just make the best of it, and so you'll probably be better off, because then you're kind of like stuck with having to work the problem, whereas if you just got a kit that was like a really nice kit, like, well, just for example, we were just talking about the RG Sazabi. If you end up getting like the RG Sazabi, which is an amazing kit, you surely will love it. There's not really much that you have to do with it. You can put it together, and I mean it's already great. But I think the Tristan, I think, will give you a nice challenge if you really care. But I suppose it depends on the person. I suppose on the other hand, it could just leave you thinking like, oh, well, this sucks, I don't like Gunpla anymore, which is also a possibility. So I don't know. I would say, still though, just for your friend, any kit recommendation, I would say just to take her to a store if you got a store. If you don't have a store, just show her some kits online. If you have a preferred online store, obviously you guys know who I would recommend. Let me point to it there. I would recommend USA Gundam Store. Just see what they've got in stock and find something cool there. But yeah, let her choose something that's cool. That's something that looks cool to her. And check out some reviews, and as long as the kit seems halfway decent, then I'm sure she'll be perfectly fine. Alright, so there we go. As you can see, we had a ton of stickers that all go in for little cameras and screens and stuff on the inside of here. They look really cool. I mean, they look really nice. So, I'll ultimately, for my build later on, when it's all painted and everything, I'll end up using something different for all of these little bits and bobs and everything, but even if you did just end up just using the stickers for these, I think they look pretty nice. So you got that little thing there, and these kind of little toggle switches or something, whatever, that'll go right here for that. So some really nice little details in there. So once you're all done stickering everything, then plug these parts into here, like this. I say just all the detail and everything for the internal cockpit here, the figure and the wires, and all the detail in here for all the little screens and stuff on the inside. Very impressive, really nice for building the center part of this. Now I seem to have misplaced a particular, oh here it is, piece that I need, which will go onto here. It's kind of strange. Like that. This is kind of like the back part of the eye, which will slide back and forth, I guess. And it doesn't seem like a really tight fit there at the moment, so we're going to be careful with that before we put the opposite side part into that. Seems like we need to be a little bit careful. So then, but those will be maybe held together once we get these two pieces put together like this. Like this. Here we go. Like that. Alright. There we go. And then these parts here on the side. Here and here. Okay. So, very cool. I'm actually tempted to take a picture of that before we move on here. Let me just head to the chat for a moment. Let's see, Judo Squash asks, I'm new to Gunpla, and when planning to paint, do you always test fit everything before priming? Yes, I do. You don't have to, but I think it's better if you do. I think it's better if you build the kit up first, so snap build it up first, then disassemble it for your painting and priming and everything. Or, again, this is getting maybe a little bit more into it if you're a beginner, but often what I'll do is build everything up, then disassemble it for sanding, do all my sanding and everything, all just getting all the parts prepped, and then wash the parts so that everything's all clean, all the sanding dust and oil from my hands and everything is all clean off the parts, and they're ready for paint. And then at that point, I'll either spray the parts individually, or I might reassemble some of the parts again and then spray primer on some of the sections reassembled. But again, you don't have to do that. It really just depends on the kit, depends on what's called for that particular kit. So I just want to snap a pic of the inside of the cockpit here because it's pretty cool. Okay. And Tenko asked, is it cool that I donate my Gundam model kits to CHKD? I don't know what CHKD is, but you can donate any donating model kits, I suppose, is cool. Yeah, surely. Let's see. Tostitos Hot Pizza Rolls asked, do you have any suggestions for a type of spray paint? Do you mean a brand of spray paint? My suggestion would be to not use spray paint. Actually, my suggestion would be to just maybe use it for your primer and or top coat. But for your painting, I would recommend using. Getting an airbrush. I know it can be expensive and intimidating at first, but it's much better in the long run, and you'll be very glad you did. Especially after you, if you are gonna spray paint first with cans first, and you're doing that, and then later when you switch to airbrushing, you're gonna think, oh, why didn't I just do airbrushing from the beginning? Oh. Sorry. He got it mixed up, he said. He meant brand of airbrush paint. Okay, sorry. Well, he meant airbrushing from the start. Okay, anyway, but still, for anyone else out there, that my advice still stands. I would, maybe recommend, spray painting maybe 1 or 2 kits just to kind of get the feel for spraying, maybe just to kind of get the feel for painting in general. But if you think airbrushing is expensive, it only is at first. Ultimately, using spray cans is going to be more expensive in the long run because spray cans are not that cheap and add up, and they don't really last that long. So it's much better to just get into airbrushing as soon as possible if you're interested in painting. El Fan de Gamplo, what's my opinion on the Flame Toys Windblade model? I'm not sure what that is, but I'm guessing that's one of those Transformer kits, right? Flame Toys, I think, makes those Transformer model kits. Is that right? In which case, I've not built any of them. What was the one? Thundercracker, I think, is the one that I'm sort of interested in. But I've not yet built any of them. Farid asked, Zach, will you review the RG Phoenix? Yes, I do have the RG Phoenix reserved, and I do plan on reviewing that one, yes. Tenko said, it's the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. Okay, I don't know what the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughter is, but donating kits to children, I'm all for that, yes. By all means, I think you should. Windblade is a female Autobot. Okay, so is it like a really like female-y Autobot Flame Toys kit? I haven't seen it. Should I check it? Flame Toys. What is it? Windblade. Also happy to report, in case you guys saw the stream. I think I did see about this. Yeah. But isn't I saw about this, but I think I got it confused because isn't there like a what is it? The Masterpiece, right? Masterpiece collection, is that right? The figures, the Masterpiece figures. There's like a female one coming out from that series too, isn't there? Or am I confusing that with this? Anyway, yeah, I did see about this. Cool. Oh yeah, maybe here. Anyway, yeah, what's the... there is a masterpiece figure coming out for yeah, RC. That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah, I saw about that, so that's why I had it confused. They look kind of similar to me anyway. Someone who's not a huge Transformers fan. Yes, Speedball Haro. Yes, I know much more about Beast Wars. Beast Wars was the thing that I was into when I was young. Never really got into like original or like any other kind of Transformers stuff really. Okay, these parts. Let's get back to the build here for a moment. And try to figure out how these parts go in here. I think that's the wrong one. There we go. Little gold bits here at the top. Yes. Windblade has a female samurai warrior look. Yeah, yes. This piece not wanting to go in there. Alright, I think the first thing that I'm gonna do, let's see, why is this not wanting to fit in there quite right? The first thing I'm gonna do in my transformation of this kit to make it more appealing to me is probably getting rid of all the rivets, just sanding down all the rivets, because that's like all kind of part of the whole steampunk look, and I'm just not into steampunk. Ah, there we go. Finally, that's just an odd fit. Kind of finally got it in there correctly. So the first thing will be getting rid of any sort of steampunk elements of this for me. So all the little rivets, and then like a lot of like the armor bits have like the little flipped up bit at the end there. Also seems kind of very steampunky sort of element of that. I'll probably just sand those down so that it's more like Maschinen Krieger style, just like the plate of armor is just like a flat plate, no detail, and so like you can imagine like an armor piece or like a shoulder armor piece like going over the top of the shoulder of a Matt K super armor fighting suit. It's just like a flat piece, and so I'll probably just transform all these bits into just like a flat piece of armor with no rivets, no lip at the end, like that. Yeah, the steam pipes obviously need to go or need to change into something else too, so I'm not sure what I'll end up doing with those. We'll see. The steam pipes will be changed to something. I'm not sure about that. I was thinking about maybe changing them into just like fuel tanks or something like that. Something along those lines. That just kind of makes sense. So I don't know. That's my goal, is to make it a little bit more Maschinen Krieger style. Alright. So let's see. We got this piece here, which looks like some sort of flashlight, and then the stickers. So we're meant to use these stickers on here, but I'm gonna hold off on using these for the time being because I probably will just want to. Should I just use it? I should just use this anyway. I have other stuff that I can use instead of these, because I figure I'll want to use these on the painted build when it's all done, but I have other stuff I can use for this, so it's alright. It's no sweat. And I don't know if I'll end up changing this part of the build ultimately anyway, so it's all good. No great loss. So that's stuck on there like that. And then this little guy over the top of that. Goes like that there for that, and I think I could probably still use that on the finished build actually. Just have to be careful. So I only need to paint like, anyway, other part of that, which is not part of the sticker. So there's that for the upper eye, and the lower eye, see, just has this part, just this green one. Stuck onto here like that, and it just sticks right into there. Like that, there you go. So those eyes look pretty nice on there, those parts. Then we go back to the main part of the body here. This is just stuck right onto the side. Tenko asked, I'm trying to make a diorama for my Goof Custom HG and Easy 8. Any ideas for me? I mean, you got plenty of ideas just from the anime. So, I mean, you could just try to simulate one of the scenes from the anime. If you guys saw my coverage from the Quinta Hobby event in Chile, someone did a pretty cool diorama from there where they recreated the scene of the Goof lifting up the part of the highway. I think you can see there in my video. The Goof lifting up, you know, the part of the overpass. So that was a pretty cool diorama, and I think he used like a resin conversion kit for that Goof custom as well. It was not the stock master grade. Any chance you'll be taking a look at the new Gigantic Arms kits and its combined form? Huh? New Gigantic Arms kits, total Banzai-ness. You're talking about for the frame arms stuff? Like for the frame arms girl Gigantic Arms kits? Is that what you're talking about? That makes, like, goes together to make that like giant robot thing? The giant robot that looks like it's some sort of like ESPN Super Bowl like football robot. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Another recommendation, just going back to the Easy 8 Goof Custom idea. I always love, of course, the scene where the Goof, stabs the gun tank. That's pretty cool. It'd be a cool one to recreate. I'm sure it's been done many times by people. That's sad. I don't think I've really seen it remade that often. I'm sure I have, but just for how like such a cool scene that is, and I'm sure like anyone who's a fan of that series and a fan of that particular episode, which why wouldn't you be? Then it's kind of surprising that I haven't seen that particular scene remade more. I'm sure I have seen it made, at least at some point in the past. I think it would be hard to do to make like the oil splatter look right. Alright, so there's the main part of the body, and then we can finally plug on the front part together just like that. There you go. So it's definitely like a very deep body. Like compared, I'm just thinking like in comparison to Maschinenkrieger. I mean there's a variety of Maschinenkrieger kits of course, but it's a pretty deep back there. But very cool how that just slides out pretty easily there for the front. And of course nicer, being that it's a Bandai model, it's a nicer function there than at least like the Wave Mac K kits, because in the Wave Mac K kits it's just like a one single polycap that will like swing the whole front half forward, and it's like kind of like barely held on there. It's a very simple design. This one is a little bit more interesting engineering there for the opening up of that. Did Tamiya cancel the Shizuoka show? Yes, I don't know, I guess it would be Tamiya that canceled that, yeah, but yes. Anyway, the Shizuoka Hobby show is canceled, yes, unfortunately. Mason, why is it pink? Because there's particular character, I guess, uses a pink style Kobu-Kai. There's also a white and also a purple version as well. Let's see. Junkyard God asks, have you built any Hexagears? Yes, I built the Hexagear. What was the name of that kit? The one that has a big bubble canopy and is like a flying thing. You know? I forget the name of it offhand, but yes, I did. And I also built one of the Governor kits as well. Overall, I think the Hexagear kits are interesting, but quite expensive. And they're, I think, really best suited. I mean, you can just build them as they're meant to be built, but like they're really best suited. I think if you're like really into Legos and just like creating stuff on your own, because they're very much like, I don't want to say not meant for customizing, but they're really good. Just the design of the parts, it's the way that they're engineered. They're really good for just customizing, like just building stuff on your own, like you would like Legos or whatever. So I think if you're into building like that, then you probably will get the most out of them. Just building them just as they're meant to be built, just straight out of the box, you might feel like they're a little bit expensive for what they are. But if you want to really, you know, get crazy and get really creative with them, then I think you'll probably get the most out of them. Okay, so I went ahead and put these parts on. I wasn't quite supposed to do that yet. I was supposed to got a little ahead of myself there, thinking I didn't need to look at the manual, but should have paid attention to the manual because I was meant to put in these hose parts. Yes, Total Banzai-ness, the Blockbuster, yes, thank you. The Blockbuster, yes, was the one that I have previously built before. Alright, so this hose part we need at 92 length of 90 millimeters. There's one. And two. Okay. And for these, let's see. I need to take this back apart again then. For these, it's meant to go inside here. like that, kinda. And then plug onto the body next. And then pipe that down into there. How far? I don't know. I guess you just push it in as far as it goes. Like that. And then I guess when you open up the front of the body, you've got extra slack in there. So like when that's opened all the way up, you can see this hose can still be connected because you've got plenty of hose in there. But then when it's closed back up, you got like tons of extra. You just slide that down into there, so it's a kind of tighter fit. So that's cool. Very, very nice. I gotta say, very impressive build so far. Just you can see Bandai did a good job with this one. It seems like so far. So impressed with this. It wasn't just like a half-assed thing that they did just to make some money off of another property that they have. Seems like they really took the time to actually make this into a pretty nice kit. So that's good. It's always reassuring. Alright, then we got just these parts here. Pipes out the side, and then then the body is all done. We can just move on to the limbs then, which are relatively simple. The body is certainly the most complicated part of the build. With everything going on there, you can see a lot of stuff going on. And the gold parts are nice. Nice little addition of detail. Help those pop out against the gold. And the pink, I mean. The pink, if you guys can't really tell, I don't know how well you guys can tell on camera here, but the pink is actually like a metallic rose kind of. It's metallic injected pink. It's not just pink plastic, so pretty interesting for that as well. Alright. So we're meant to build the arms next, but I want to build the legs first, because I want to get this standing up. So we'll skip ahead to the legs. And although in the whole body section there we only used a couple of polycaps, most of the polycaps, as you might expect, are used in the limbs. So we're gonna have a lot more polycaps in these sections here now. So we got some of these parts here, and like with Maschinen Krieger kits, it seems like these joint parts are going to be one area that are going to take a little bit more work, just because you're going to have seam lines on here. With Maschinen Krieger kits, at least with wave kits, for example, the issue is that the joint parts are in a softer plastic, and they have mold lines on them, so you have to find a way to either get rid of the mold lines or modify them, or just replace them in some way so that you don't have the mold lines on the soft plastic parts of the joints. In this case, though, you have a seam line instead of mold lines, so again, there's different ways to get around that. But Patrick, thank you very much for the super chat there. Support, Patrick, appreciate that as always. Off topic, but typical, how long does it take for a Japanese film to hit theaters in Korea? For example, when rebuild of Eva 4.0 finally comes out, when do you expect to see it? Well, it depends. A lot of Japanese films don't come out here. We really don't get a whole lot of Japanese movies coming out here just because, I don't know, they're not that popular. And I think it's probably just the fact that just people in general don't really like Japan. So there's not a whole lot of people. Like there would be people here that would go see the movies, I'm sure, but there's not a high demand for Japanese movies here. But that said, if it's something that's going to be really popular and like Evangelion is really popular here, so whenever that comes out, it'll probably come out at the same time. Whenever it comes out in Japan, they'll probably have it arranged to come out here at the same time, or right around the same time. It won't be long of a wait, because Evangelion is popular here in Korea too, so. For that specific example, it wouldn't be too much of a difference, I would imagine. For other things though, we might not like ever get it. But especially like anime related stuff, that's all popular here. Anything like some Japanese horror movie or something like that, we probably wouldn't get it at all in the theaters. But it depends. Case by case thing. Alright. Let's see. Do you recommend portable airbrushes because I don't have much space? Jinjin, I have not ever used any of like the portable airbrushes. I would say that I wouldn't really recommend them. But it's probably better than nothing. But see, hang on, sorry. It's probably not the best option. So I don't know. If you're that limited on space that you're thinking you might have to just use one of the portable airbrushes, then maybe just sticking with spray cans would be the best option for you temporarily. At least until you can get a good space set up for airbrushing. Or if you think, like for example, you're a college student and you're in your second or third year of college or something, and so that's the reason you don't necessarily have the space or whatever to do your airbrushing, whatever you want to do. What I would say would be to just maybe not worry too much about painting for the time being in general, because you could make something work by using spray cans or just a portable airbrush or something like that, which would work for you temporarily, and you can get fine results with something like that. Or what you could do is just wait and just don't really worry about painting for the time being. Just enjoy just building some kits, whatever you can do for the time being, and then you're only going to be in college for a couple years. Just wait till you graduate, and then once you're moved into your own place afterwards, and you've got space and everything set up that you can do proper painting with an airbrush or whatever, then just because you've got some kits built up doesn't mean that you can't go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later and paint them later on. You don't have to paint the kit that you build up straight away. So I would say it's just another option for you. Just hold off on painting until you can get a proper setup. Shit. Something that you could do. Depends on your situation. And not knowing your situation, it's hard to give you specific advice. Forgot to put this part in here. I can just do like that. It's in there well enough anyway. Also, paint a kit. You don't have to be a perfectionist. You can go back and redo later. Yes, that's also a very good point. Some people will think that after they've painted a kit, and especially after maybe they've painted their first or second or third kit and it doesn't come out like perfect or whatever, or some people are nervous to even start painting their first kit because they're nervous of that they're going to ruin the kit, and it's very, very difficult to ruin a kit. Even if your painting comes out awful, it's just not good at all, you can always strip the paint and repaint it. Or if you can't be bothered to do that, you can always just buy the same kit again. Luckily, Bandai doesn't make one-off kits. Anything that they make in a pretty high number of them, so chances are, you can buy the same kit again later. With so many kits out there, though, usually people don't want to do that. Usually people would prefer to buy a new kit they haven't built before. Most of the time people don't want to rebuy a kit that they've already bought and built and painted. Some people do. I've done it, but depends on where you're at. I think most people would prefer to buy something new, of course. Let's see, were you thinking of doing a Mac case style custom of this case? Justin Park, yes, to answer your question, I've been kind of talking about that a little bit earlier on in the building process, but yes, that's my plan for this, is to make it a little bit more Maschinen Krieger flavored. Yes. So as you can see, the legs are pretty simple, and you've got some seam lines down the side, and not only through the joint parts, but through the armor. You've got seam lines on the legs there, unfortunately. Not really terribly surprising, but just the way it goes. It seems like the main body building, like the main body of this is gonna be like the real highlight of the build. Just objectively the best part of the construction, and also just the most enjoyable. Building the limbs, pretty standard, nothing really too exciting. And you've got some seam lines on these parts, plenty of seam lines on these parts, so you're not going to be anything really quite too much to write home about. The body is really kind of the most interesting part, it seems like. And interesting construction here for that joint there as well. Alright, that goes like that, and then got the hand parts here. We'll just build the holding hand there first, or the open hand, I should say. Open hand, that will go just like that, and then this guard part just stretches over the top of that. I wonder who was the mechanical designer for these. Anyone familiar with this series enough to know who's the mechanical designer for this? Or so the arm's pretty simple, but pretty cool. Interesting design there for the arms. I like that a bit more than the legs. The legs, I don't know, something about the legs just a bit too stumpy for me. They somehow seem to make the legs look like they have even less available movement than Maschinen Krieger legs, if that's possible. Ilham, are you planning to paint this? Yeah, eventually. Any model kit that I build, I'm eventually planning to paint. The question is, when am I going to get around to painting it? And the answer to that is, I don't know. What can I do if I messed up kit weathering wise? Oh, that's harder to fix. Messing up weathering is harder to fix because then it's hard to get rid of your weathering without getting rid of the base painting. So, you can try to get rid of what you've done weathering wise, But probably what you're going to run into is that it's also going to, in the process, destroy your base painting as well. And so what you'll end up having to do is just completely strip and repaint the entire kit, which is obviously not something that anyone wants to do, but it's still an option. So even if you completely destroy your kit with bad weathering, it's still not a total loss. So yes, important to keep that in mind as well. Like I said, very hard to completely ruin a kit. Let's see. It's like here. Like that. That one there. There we go. Seam lines on the arm here as well. But that's it for the body. Then we just have the weapons, which is pretty much just like we have well, actually I take that back. There's a couple more parts of the body armor here that you build like right at the very end. And then we also have the weapon, which is the sword, and you have almost enough pieces to build 2 swords, but not quite enough. You're missing, unfortunately, 1 piece that you would need 2 of. It wouldn't be a very difficult piece to just scratch build something. What did you... Inked Gumpla... Oh, okay. Yes, Inked Gumpla asking a question to Jinjin there. What did you use to weather? I would imagine Jinjin's probably asking just theoretically. The question seemed like just if you were to mess up a kit at the weathering stage, what can be done? But if you... Jinjin, if you do have a specific question about something that you did mess up, you know, maybe I or anyone there in the chat can offer some advice of how you might be able to go about fixing that. The gold hilt, yes, is missing. Yes, this gold part of this sword hilt is missing. You only have 1 of these, but the handle and the blade you have 2 of. So you can see that you would basically just have to build some connection piece between the handle and the blade there. So that's the only thing that's missing, unfortunately. So let's see, this just goes in here like that, and the sword into there like this. So also not a huge fan of this sword weapon for this particular design. So I'll probably end up changing the weapon that this will be using. May turn one of the arms into like a cannon arm or like a laser arm. Again, sort of Machine & Krieger style. Is maybe likely a modification I'll end up doing for this. Ooh, that's gonna be want to be careful with that. Plugging that part into there, I already kind of stressed out that part. It's meant to snap into place here, but seems a bit iffy. It also says to put this on here before plugging the arm, so I guess I'll follow Bandai's instructions. Yes, still. Ooh, seems like a very easily broken part, so be careful with that. So it's meant to snap into place, it says. There we go. Oh yeah. Alright, and then it's this little red part here. Through there. I like these like vent details here on the front. It's pretty cool. Design part of this, these red vents here on the front. So definitely we'll keep those. But again, just kind of getting rid of the rivets and the flared out part of the armor. It's not really wanting to snap into place, are you? There we are. Okay, and finally these parts here, which are on the side of the body. Just snap onto the side there. These like armor plates. So yeah, this will probably just turn into like just a flat square piece kind of thing, something like that. But at any rate, that is that. Uh-oh, his toe came off. That's that. Stay on there. Strange. Why did the toe come off? The polycap's turned in there. Maybe it wasn't plugged in all the way. But don't go quite yet. Something more I'll show you guys here before we wrap up the stream, because that's pretty much it for the build. Then we just have like the holding hand here, just holds onto the sword. Pretty simple there, not really too much to see with that. But yeah, there you go. Pretty interesting there. Let's see. So that's it for the Kobu-Kai. Very interesting kit indeed. Now one thing I want to look at first, before we move on to something else, is a size comparison. Let's see. Oof. What's your opinion on Black Arachnia? Here's a comparison to a Machine Krieger Prowler kit. So you can see it's quite a bit larger than your 120 scale, standard size SAFS. Prowler is a pretty standard size, so it's quite a bit larger indeed. I don't have, like, the first thing that comes to mind would be like the Venus suit. The Venus suit, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. The resin kit, the resin Machine Krieger kit of the Venus suit. It's kind of reminds me, probably in size, it's probably maybe closer to that. I don't have it, but just I'm aware of it. I know what it is. Just see pictures of it. Probably closer in size to that, I guess. And yeah, the Junkyard God says it reminds him of Big Daddy from BioShock. Yeah, the steampunk aesthetic certainly has very reminiscent of BioShock as well, yes. And the other thing, I'll show you guys. I decided not to do a live stream build of this, but I do have him built up, and we'll be doing the review shortly for the Figurized Standard Ultraman Taiga. Is it Taiga? I guess I could just read the Japanese. Where is it in Japanese? Oh, no, in Japanese it is Tiga. Huh? Tiga Kuris. Tiga Crystal. Oh, Tiga Crystal. Okay. In Japanese, I guess it is Tiga. But I'm just gonna say Taiga. Anyway, I need to get I went out this morning before the stream and I got some batteries for this. I need to put the batteries in it before the review. But I need the screwdriver, which I think... Where's my screwdriver? Is not in here. I need to go get the screwdriver for this. Eek. Yeah. Oi! Okay. This tiny screwdriver is hopefully gonna work. Alright. Really like this Ultraman design. When it was first shown, or like when this kit, I mean, anyway, was first shown, I wasn't sure if I was really too into it, because I liked the other Figure Art Standard Ultraman kits that I had built so far, but it wasn't. When this one was first shown, I was thinking, I don't know if I'm really into it. But the more I saw of it, the more I kind of grew to like this design a lot more, actually. And it's a pretty cool design. Now I like it, and I especially like it for the like shield weapon that it has as well. If I can get this dang batteries out of here. There we go. Alright. Wait. So there's that, and okay, so that goes into there. I basically built up as much of this as I could. As you can see. And there you go. There we go. There we should be good now. Oh, I guess we need to turn it on before we plug in the back, but how? Oh, okay. It's kind of hard to get to the switch. Should have turned it on before putting the two halves together. So that's kind of odd. The way that the torso is designed on this is strange. Seems like they designed it in a way that is better for articulation, but it's also harder to get at the LED switch, unfortunately. But there he goes. So we'll have the review coming for Ultraman Taiga, anyway. Alright, so let's see. Tostito said, what's your opinion on Black Arachne? I need to know before this chance ends. My opinion on Black Arachne, I don't know, she was a cool character in the series. I don't have like a Black Arachne. I know there is that. It came out not too long ago, right? Last year or 2 years ago? Recently, there's the Masterpiece figure of Black Arachne, right? I don't collect those. As much as I am a fan of Beast Wars, I don't collect the figures. Even if they made some like cool kits, I don't know if I would be into them. I just like the series. But yeah, she was a cool character, I suppose. Not like in like a Black Arachne fan club or anything. What's the easiest way to pen a line when you're using an acrylic paint with an acrylic varnish? I'm not sure, because I don't use acrylics, so I'm not really the best person to ask about that. I would say, I suppose, just an acrylic wash, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, then that wouldn't really work. I don't know. What do people use? It's a good question. Alright. But anyway, so yeah, we're done with that for now, for today. The next live build, let me think. I'm still working on the strike. Obviously, it's gonna take a few days to get all the perfect grade strike parts already before we can do any live streaming of that. So we'll probably build something else in the meantime. And what that might be is maybe the frame arms Luden, the frame arms girl Luden kit. Just got that in recently. Luden's possibly that, possibly yes. Or I'm not sure, but something. Most likely it will be maybe that or the Master Grade Riga Z Unicorn version. I need to build that up as well. It's low on my stack, but I've had it in the stack for a while. I need to get around to that. So yeah, maybe I'll put it to a vote. But that'll be maybe the next couple of days. But I'm also really trying to work on number 1, getting the PG Strike parts already, and number 2, I'm working on the Master Grade Barbatos. As you know, painting the Master Grade Barbatos, and I'm back to work on that. So I'm trying to finish up that. So those are the 2 things. Also, maybe starting from today or tomorrow, I'm also starting work on painting the HG Sazabi for a commission. So I've got the parts and I need to give them a bath. So maybe I'll probably wash the parts today and start priming the HG Sazabi parts tomorrow as well. It's something else I'm working on. So anyway, I'll let you guys know what the next live build is going to be. And yes, I may just put that to a vote to you guys. Probably between the Master Grade Riga Z Unicorn version and then like a different female kit like the Ludens or something. So okay, alright, that's it for today guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.